Oh, all right then. Fine, we'll talk about it later. Okay, see you. Bye. Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode where I talk about things here in the land of Israel. And in this particular episode, we'll be discussing whether or not AI marketing tools are actually ready for prime time business use in 2026, just like the title says. I'm not going to get clickbait here. I'm not going to shill you affiliate links. I'm just going to talk to you about my opinions as somebody who's been doing marketing for 45 years. Whether or not the tools that people are now increasingly using to do work related to marketing is actually being aided or hindered by AI, or what people call AI, even though most of it isn't, and whether or not those tools are actually ready for, what business calls prime time, or what society calls prime time, meaning mainstream use at the height of its fanfare, and all the attention is on it, all eyes on AI. So we've seen over the last few years, since the liberal, or not liberal, I don't mean that politically, I mean the opening up, right, the accessibility of the everyday person to tools like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Claude, Perplexity, and on and on and on and on. And the video generation tools from OpenAI like Sora, and from, Google VO, and all these other tools that have come out. Images like Nano Banana, or even ChatGPT and Copilot, all these different types of things that have been happening in the large language model world and in the small language model world, which is usually the thing that people use if they want more specific and authoritative answers for more niche questions about more niche topics. And all these things are large language models, which are basically machine learning on steroids. They're not actually real artificial intelligence, right? And even the makers of them would tell you, no, it's not artificial intelligence, but that's just the term that's been popularized to sound cool and techy and edgy. Nobody wants to say, oh, it's not a real AI. It's just a large language model. Nobody wants to say that in the common parlance of our times, right? They all want to say, oh no, I use AI. If you use ChatGPT, you're not using AI. Hate to break it to you, but that's a fact. If you're using ChatGPT or any of those tools that I've just mentioned, you're using large language models. Now, that's not to say that they're all bad, or that they're not good, or that currently AI tools are better than them necessarily. However, there are many AI tools, like real AI tools, that are actually more powerful than these LLMs when it comes to certain business use cases. For example, tools that we use to build psychographic profiles, tools that we build to develop predictive behavior models, in other words, ways to identify the interests of a person who visits a site, or who receives an email, or who interacts with some kind of application or app. And the makers of that app or website or email or whatever have ways to identify the person that goes beyond just a cookie that says, what IP number you're coming in from, what country you're in. Maybe it has other information that you submitted to it already, your name, whatever it might have access to through the cookies, and whatever other information they can get from ad networks that you may have been on, or social media networks, et cetera, right? There's all kinds of ways to identify what a person is actually doing. Man, the samples just don't quit here. This is crazy. Yes, I'm out on a walk and talk with you guys while I'm collecting samples for a lab that I sponsor. And yeah, anyway, scientific research, medical research. It's very interesting and very telling. And anyway, so marketing AI tools that I just mentioned to you. By the way, some of the better ones are sites that let you use multiple LLMs at once. And there are even sites that let you build your own AI apps. Like, what is that one called? Base 44 or something like that. If you look for, I think it's Base 44 or Codebase 44, some Israeli guy invented a little startup. It's doing quite well. It's got some nice, they had a successful business occurrence that happened to them recently. So now they're a much more well-established company in the sense that they have a longer forecast, a longer runway ahead of them to grow to great heights. And that site lets you build your own apps. So you can build an app very easily, like in a matter of minutes, even sometimes even faster. Let's say you wanted to generate images across multiple AIs or LLMs. You can use that tool to build your own app to do that, and you can share links to it. People can use your tools that you put on their site, etc. You can't embed that tool on your own site unless you use like an iframe or whatever, in which case, it's not, I mean, iframes are lame in my opinion, but whatever, people use them, I get it. But there are plenty of tools like that, which let you build your own apps and let you do any number of things. You can create entire systems, processes, workflows, tasks, automatically run things, collect data automatically, analyze data very quickly. But as with all things, whenever you're asking LLMs to do work for you, something you need to do anyway is review it and make sure it's correct, because a lot of the times they will make mistakes, and very often they'll do that on purpose because of how they're learning from people. And they see that people make mistakes, they see that people also lie, so they copy that behavior, they mimic that behavior, right? Because they learn from the behavior of people interacting with them, as well as from the interactions of the learning that they do from the data set that they're trained on. But there are tools like that, which I mentioned, which let you build your own systems. There are also tools which are already built. I've mentioned it a few times before, lmarena.ai. Again, not an affiliate or anything like that with any of these sites. I'm just pointing them out to you. You can go take a look. lmarena also lets you use multiple tools at the same time to do all kinds of generative information, whether it's text, spreadsheets, information, images. You can even go into their Discord and create videos. So they have access, they give you access basically to Sora and to Veo and other tools to make videos. And I think they have they give you access to several free clips a day. So they're like 5 seconds a piece. If you're smart and you know how to do it, you can stitch them together, and you can have multiple Discord accounts and continually make more content and stitch it all together if you wanted to use that to make a video. If you know how exactly to prompt your commands well enough, and it should work very well for you. Or even if you just need 1, 2, 3, or 4 short 5-second clips a day, you can do that. And you can think, well, who's going to look at a 5-second clip? Well, sometimes a 5-second clip is all you need. Sometimes a 20-second clip is all you need. It really depends on the messaging you're trying to communicate. So, by the way, if you're here and you're not liking or subscribing my channel, you haven't liked or subscribed to this, you haven't liked this video or subscribed to the channel, please do, because it helps me get out my message to more people who are interested in this topic, because I do talk about AI and marketing quite a lot. I also talk about other topics. YouTube hates that I mix topics, so be it. But if you'd like to, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Help me get the word out. Let me see here. What's your message here? Best ice cream topping? What? I don't know. I like ice cream and I like toppings, but I don't really see how that's relevant. So use LM Arena if you want to do basically like a competition between the LIs, the LLMs, the LLMs to see which one of them generates the best for you, and it lets you tell it which of the outputs is better, or if they're both equally good, even if they're different, or if they're both bad, it lets you tell them that. It lets you rate them. You don't have to, but it lets you. That's a very useful tool. There are tons of useful tools, some free, some not free, right? All of them have pros and cons, but all of them require you still now at the end of 2025 to do a thorough review of their output. Because like I said, they will often make mistakes based on the fact that they've learned to do that, and they will continue to do that for the foreseeable future, which means at the end of the day, while these tools may be ready for some use in business, and they are, right? People are using them increasingly. We're seeing it affect everything from the kind of work people are doing to the kind of jobs that are available, and the kind of insane decisions that many companies are making vis-a-vis their personnel, like getting rid of people thinking they can replace them with AI, and then understanding that, oh no, we actually can't. We still need a person to edit all that LLM stuff and implement it and do all the things necessary. So business is not ready yet, in my opinion, to just go full on AI and LLM. It's not going to work, right? Not in 2026. We don't yet have general AI, general artificial intelligence, which is like the ability for AIs to actually really think for themselves and actually really be creative and actually really have insights that are previously unknown and actually be correct in all of the mathematics they calculate. For example, try to calculate something as basic as, I don't know, compound interest, year over year, or decade over decade, or whatever your investment portfolio has. Right? Try to calculate simple multiplication, right? Like that. You will find that AIs mess up a lot, right? Like it's not a once in a while they make a mistake. No. These tools are highly unreliable when it comes to basic arithmetic, right? Not just advanced mathematical stuff, not just advanced calculus or anything beyond that, or advanced astrophysics calculations, quantum physics, etc. They're not going to get simple arithmetic correctly all the time. And I know that sounds crazy. You're like, wait a minute, how can a computer program not do math correctly? Well, because an AI isn't, or an LLM isn't exactly what you would think of as a normal computer program. It's not software designed to do a strict function according to a very strict set of rules that makes it do certain specific things and calculate them correctly. It is something that is built by people that makes mistakes on a regular basis because of the flexibility that it is given by those who created it in order to interpret data. And once you give it the power to interpret data, well, that means that you have now given it the power to make a lot of mistakes, right? And that's just a fact, whether you like it or not. That's just a fact. These tools are replete with mathematical mistakes, and they will continue to be replete with mathematical mistakes for the foreseeable future, right? For the very simple reason that the tools, like I said, are built by people, right? And programmers are notoriously I don't want to say lazy, but they're they're notoriously looking for shortcuts. When you look for shortcuts, you end up getting a lot of errors. Even if it's not their intention, right? That is the end result. You end up getting a lot of errors. Now, can those errors be minimized? Yes, of course they can be minimized. Can those errors be eliminated? Well, in some respects, yes, but in some respects, at this time, given the technology and the status that it's currently in, no, not really. There will still be mistakes. There will still be significant errors from time to time. In theory, it should become a better tool set to use over time, but we're a long way from getting there, right? Because the tools are still very new, relatively. Now, you can say, what are you talking about? 3 years is an eternity in software. Sure, 3 years is an eternity in software. And if you look back 3 years ago at what LLMs were capable of doing, it was vastly more primitive than what they're capable of doing now. The famous Will Smith eating pasta video is like example number one that many people point to, right? An AI video of Will Smith eating a bowl of pasta or whatever. Like, it looked very primitive to what we have today. Now you can make a video of that and it would look so believable that it's not believable. Like, it looks hyper realistic to the degree that, you know, that valley, if you know the valley graph of believability, it's like too believable. It's clearly generated by LLM because nothing in reality would look as sharp, crisp, you know, perfectly light balanced, etc., in that way. It looks too synthetic. It looks too artificial by being so perfect looking. So the uncanny valley, in case you're not familiar with it, like I just mentioned, the uncanny valley is now at the point, or the technology is now at the point in the uncanny valley graph where the tech is so good that people can actually tell that it's not real. And that means that the tech has to improve even more to the point where people cannot actually tell. But we have reached a stage where the tech is very sufficiently good that it's like, it's very good. It looks amazing. It can fool a lot of people if they're not aware of uncanny valley, or if they're not aware of the fact that it was made with AI. Like, there are a lot of deepfakes that look real, and if you don't know any better, you could be fooled. But if you know how this stuff works and if you're aware of it, it's very obvious that this tech is not yet at the point where you could really like generate an entire actual movie and have it be like a, you know, like a realistic style movie, not a sci-fi or fantasy or, you know, something out there, something that looks realistic, like almost a documentary style thing, or a news show, right? Or a news article, a news report, right? We're not yet at the space where you could do a full news report and it would be completely believable, even by fact checkers, right? Did you say the valley is okay? Whatever. That's a weird opinion. Uncanny valley is a technical term, concept, or a term that deals with the technology. I should be more precise. Uncanny valley is a demonstrable chart. We can show this with many different technologies that come along, right? At first, the technology is very primitive. Everybody knows it's not, you know, human, and we know it's obviously artificial, but it's nice, it's practical, it's an interesting innovation, and we like it. We have some uses for it, whatever. And the next stage is, you know, as it gets better, there starts to be some murkiness, some confusion as to whether or not it's real or not, because it's improving. It might fool a few people, probably not most people. And then at some point, it gets to the point where it's good enough to fool most people. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable because it's like, wait a minute, now this robot looks real or appears to be real, or the output from this robot appears to be real. And it's a little discomforting. It's a little bit almost creepy or strange, or, you know, unacceptable to us as humans. We want something that we want robots that we can recognize as robots, but we want their output to be so high quality and so believable that we can't tell, right? But in that uncanny valley, there's that discomfort, that awkwardness where we don't trust it. There's a job. What? Coded comfort? What? I don't know. YouTube is asking me to do weird things in this live stream, and I will not do them. Um, right. So we still need to get to that point in the uncanny valley where we're up on the other side of the valley. You know, there's the peak, right, the hilltop, and there's the valley, and there's the other hilltop. We still have yet to get to that other hilltop. In fact, we're a long way away from it, as I have said, right? And once we get to that place where we are at that next hilltop, then the tech will be so good that it will be essentially unrecognizable whether a human or a robot made it. How long it takes to get there is anybody's guess. But if you look at the rate of increase quality over the past few years, you can see that that date is approaching faster and faster as time goes by. Maybe it'll be another 15, 20 years, maybe another 10 years, maybe another 5 years, maybe sooner, right? Only time will tell. But time will definitely tell, right? We are not going to see the next 100 years go by without reaching that, unless something insane happens, like, I don't know, every computer on Earth stops working and we all go back to being cavemen. Pardon me. Some construction here, as you can probably hear on the site here. So, you know, that is kind of the status quo of where we're at with the technology and why we are yet to be in a place where the tech is really ready for prime time, in the sense that we can actually do all of our tasks with it. We can actually rely on the tech to do everything we need at work, or we can actually, you know, assign all of the, for example, marketing tasks to an AI bot and not use any human beings for the tasks. Right? We're still going to need human beings for the tasks. We're still for the foreseeable future. Right? We're still going to need to use people to do the quality assurance. We're still going to need humans to do the distribution, et cetera, right? Yes, I know you can automate the distribution with tools, obviously, but you need humans to manage and supervise that and do the analytics, do the quantitative analysis, do the BI from that, do the iteration testing, ABC testing. Where are you trekking, bro? I'm just walking here in Israel, but now I'm back at a base and continuing with you guys if I can. We will not get disconnected here, and I will continue to talk with you guys. We'll see. But that's kind of, you know, the status quo. That's the situation that we're facing, right? We're looking at definitely more years of needing human beings to do the work, right? Now you could say, well, you don't know that. Maybe in another year, something will happen within the next year that'll be so great and so revolutionary that we're all going to jump on board. And by the end of 2026, everyone's going to be using AI for all aspects of marketing, and there won't be any humans left involved. I mean, you can believe that, but I can tell you from my experience, likely to see human beings involved in the workplace, whether you work remotely or in the field. We're likely to see that continue for the foreseeable future because these tools are just not ready yet, which doesn't mean that they're not good and they're not productive and they can't save you time. In some respects, they can save you time, but in many respects, they cannot save you time because there is too much that needs to still be qualified, right? So to be basically made sure it's good before you can actually deploy it, right, at scale. And that's why I remain optimistic that human beings are going to remain part of the formula for people who want to continue working for the foreseeable future, until we get to a stage in humanity where people don't need to work, and then we will be working because we want to work, which is a very different thing. And then the question is, how many people will work when you have the choice not to work? How many people will choose to be productive and do creative things and make a more productive world? My take on that is that we will always be in that phase because human beings are competitive and creative by nature. It's part of our instincts. It's how we survive. It's how we thrive. So we're never going to see, in my opinion, a time when robots will do all of